Hello, and welcome to the Loveology podcast, where we talk about love and life with laughter. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jason.
He's the carefree one.
She's the serious one.
And we're married.
We have been since 2012, and we like to think of ourselves as a couple of loveologists.
Not because we are the experts, but because we just love love.
We enjoy studying and talking about it, so we thought, let's just start a podcast.
A place where we can share what we have learned about love, relationships, and marriage.
You can share what you've learned, and we can all grow together.
So here we are. Are you ready?
Let's get started. What's going on? How's everybody doing out there in podcast world? Loveology Podcast. This is your co-host, Jason Harris.
Hello.
With my wifey. She can't wait to get on the microphone and talk her stuff for a part 2. What's up, babe?
Why he already starting? What
hey,
are you
man.
talking about? Hello, loveologist. How's everyone doing today?
They doing just fine.
How you know?
Cause they here, they listening. If they wasn't listening, if they wasn't fine, they wouldn't be listening. They'll be somewhere upset somewhere.
All right. Well, you know what? We dropped the ball last week.
What we do, babe?
We forgot to say Happy Black History Month.
Obviously, Happy Black History Month. Shout out to the Black History Month. So we gotta keep it going for every month.
Well, but there's so many like different national months.
Right.
And I don't know them all. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah.
Well, shout out to Black History Month. And we're going to Google the rest of the months and see what else is going to be popping. Yes. I do know we have a podcast. What is it? Well, no, it's a National Podcast Day later on this year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not necessarily a month. We need a podcast month.
You know what else is this month?
What is?
I believe it is Women Heart Health Month.
Yeah, I think that actually was this
Friday.
This
Everyone was showing red.
Correct.
Or wearing red.
Correct.
To raise awareness for women's heart health, because apparently that's the number one killer of women. We talk about cancer a lot, but actually, heart. I don't know if it's heart attacks or
heartbreaks.
No, not heartbreaks, Jason. Oh my gosh. But yes, this is a major problem with women, and I haven't done any research, but I bet that stress is one of the
I'm pretty sure stress is number one
that causes these problems. And so this is actually why this episode, this 2-part series that we're doing, is very important.
Yes. And before we get into our awesome part 2 episode, I definitely want to give a shout out to our Patreons that we have. We just launched our new Patreon app. So, it's a page on Patreon, and it allows you to support your creators and support people that does a lot of things like make podcasts, like the Loveology Podcast. And so we're on Patreon, and how to go to it is patreon.com. Let me spell it. patreon.com/Loveology Podcast. Go on there, check us out, become a patron. You can do it as low as $2 a month. Less $2 a month just to support. Appreciate it. We got different tiers. Check it out. But we definitely want to give a shout out to our Patrons that's already locked and loaded.
Yes.
So we thank y'all.
Much.
Thank y'all. And the more the merrier.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get it popping, baby. Part 2. What are we talking about?
We are again talking about divvying up the household responsibilities, talking about why it's important. And this is inspired by a book called Fair Play by Eve Rodsky.
Okay.
And again, I hope I'm saying her name correctly.
You should be.
But yeah, I think it's already a New York Times bestseller. And it is dealing with a very, very, very important topic, and that is about, playing fairly. Like, let's each do our fair share of household and caretaking responsibilities.
Okay. We can do that.
So this is definitely something that I didn't know that I was so passionate about, but I am really, because I can see how a woman trying to do it all can have very negative consequences, right?
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes that's what we do. So this book was written for women as sort of like this tool to talk to their husbands, partners, about rebalancing the
The workload.
household responsibilities.
For sure.
Yes. So, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's get started.
You handled it pretty well last week. I don't think I man bashed.
No, because I got the swords out. I told and the shields. I told my men to mount up, get ready. So that means that she's coming harder this week. So bring it on.
No.
Bring it on.
So, anyways, I'm trying to stop saying anyways.
Man, talk your talk.
Because the S,
whatever.
That's actually not correct.
Okay.
But it's such a bad habit.
It is what it is.
Okay. So, anyway.
Okay. Anyway.
I think we ended last week on talking about the fact that Jason and I did play the game, and we said we were going to talk about it in this episode. Yes, this was the main problem with our experience with the cards and the game that we played, according to this book, and we will definitely go into that. But I'm going to talk about one of the things that she did to prepare you for playing the game, which was, we talked a little bit about last week, which was discussing that all time is created equal. So your time is not more valuable than mine. I do not have more hours in the day than you do. And I think that if you and I would have had that conversation before we played the game, then we definitely wouldn't have had the argument that we had.
So you're telling me if a billionaire like Jeff Bezos, right? His time, his hour is the same amount of is worth the same amount of time that his former wife time is.
Former wife time?
Well, he got a divorce now.
What are you talking about?
Jeff Bezos is
I get it. So why you say former wife?
Because it's not his wife anymore. It's ex-wife.
No, we're talking about partners.
Okay? At the time. Maybe that's why they got a divorce.
So is, teaching my children ABCs, that's not worth anything?
Yes, it's worth a lot.
Okay.
So I'm just getting clarification for all our listeners out there.
Again, I think we mentioned last week, who decides what value to place on certain things. So, okay, because he earns more dollars, more money, okay, his time is more valuable than mine. But if I was his wife, but I am taking care of our children, keeping them from getting sick, keeping them alive. Right. Hey, it's like hard to keep children alive sometimes.
You ain't lying.
And feeding them, nourishing their bodies, nourishing their minds. So I think I gave the example of teachers in this society. Unfortunately, we do not value what teachers contribute to our society, and I think it's insane.
Right.
Because, the smarter that we are as a society, the better that we all are, right? So why don't we pay our teachers more? Why do we not pay teachers more?
Don't know.
They are doing a very important job. So somebody decided that was of less value than what Jeff Bezos does.
Well, I think they don't pay them because they don't want good teachers. I think that's just what it is. Yeah, they want to make America, not as smart, I guess, on purpose, so you can manipulate them easier to put them in the workforce and do what they want them, what America want them to do.
Right.
But hey, whatever.
Right.
Who am I?
So who's to say what you do is more important than what I do?
Right.
Now, of course, we do live in the real world, so we do need money.
Right.
So there is, that's what everybody.
Do you need money?
Okay, we're not gonna go down that rabbit hole. Okay.
Like that, it's a lot of different groups out here.
Red pill or the blue pill? Is that
a lot of people don't. It's some indigenous cultures out
so
here
we don't
that don't
technically
need
it. But in our society, right? If we go without money and without earning money, we're bums. So that's just the way that we view it, right?
Right.
Wouldn't you say so?
Yes.
So anyway. Um so, I think that everybody's relationship is different because we brought up, okay, so what if you're married to someone that is earning all the money, like earning a lot of money, like, I said Barack Obama, but like The Rock, my boo thing.
Or Jeff Bezos.
Or, yeah, so let's just take The Rock, for example. So he's out here like working like crazy. And I think I've seen him interviewed by people, and he says that, he definitely couldn't do this if his wife wasn't,
right,
taking on the brunt of everything. But the point of this book is that everyone deserves time for themselves. Everyone deserves to do the pursuit of happiness. So what is the conscious to say?
Yeah.
Everyone has that, right? Everyone should be able to pursue happiness. So everyone just needs what Eve called a unicorn space, and that is, according to Eve, unicorn space is a term that she came up with, and it will give your life purpose and purpose beyond parenting and partnering. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just something that you may be interested in and passionate about, but everyone deserves that to like fulfill themselves. So, I mean, in a situation like that, well, maybe the man or the woman, whoever is earning the most money, their time is better spent earning the money because of the type of job they have.
Mm-hmm.
But the person that is at home carrying the brunt of it, we just need to make sure that we create a system for them that they also can have freedom to do what they're interested in. And maybe that's most of their work is in the home, and they only take, a small amount of time, right? To do something that they find interesting, like painting or something, or like writing. I think Eve gave an example in her book of a woman who liked to write for whatever, like gift cards, right? Like Hallmark gift cards or whatever.
Right.
I don't know if she worked for their brand or whatever, but that was something that she really wanted to do, something that she really enjoyed. So it could be something small like that, because for some people, raising the family, taking care of the household is very fulfilling work, and it can be very fulfilling work. But then you also need something that is just for you, something that you're interested in,
Okay.
So I think The Rock says that like his family definitely helps his wife out a lot. So it sounds like she has a village, and she has a community of people to help her,
right,
and where she's not doing it all. Right. That's really the whole point. Nobody should be doing it all. Right. Because things are going to fall apart.
Right.
When you try to do it all. So yeah. So we didn't have that discussion before, and I think that would have helped us play the game, right? Maybe not. So we'll get to it. But one of the other things, I'm just kind of going through the book here now, and one of the other things she said that you should do before you play it is also discuss your values and standards. And part of that was how many times have you heard of people, or how many times have we got into a fight about like me asking you to do something and you didn't do it to my standard?
I don't know. Can't remember that.
So did you? But we have done that before, right?
Correct.
And I've heard lots of people talk about this. I remember when I was in the Navy and we were deployed, like we were all sitting together in a little circle, me and my coworkers, me and my shipmates. That's what we call each other. Mm-hmm. And I was working around mostly men, and they were complaining, talking about, their wife asked them to like wipe down the counters, right?
Right.
And one of the guys was saying he did wipe down the counters, but then his wife got really upset with him because he didn't wipe behind like the appliances that was on the counter.
Right.
So she was, and he was, it just caused a fight, right? So what I really, really like about this book is it's just forcing you. It is forcing the conversation, or just triggering the conversations around everything, including the standards of what is reasonable for each task. So we don't have to fight about it if we've already talked about it and agreed upon it. Now she says that, okay, this is not a time for me to just force like some crazy high expectation or standard on you. And this is not the time for you to force some very low standard of me. Right. So, you know, you have to try to do what's reasonable, and you have to read more about it in the book. Like, you know, right. But we have to figure out what's a reasonable standard. And I just think expectations is everything, right? Mm-hmm. And so having a conversation about what does it mean to wipe down the counter to me and what does it mean to wipe down the counter to you, right, can really solve a lot of problems. Like we can totally never have a argument about that because we both are clear on what that means, and we created a standard for ourselves. Right. Because some people's standard may be to wipe down the appliances too. Right. Right. I'm not going to say that. Like, we're going to wipe down the appliances eventually, like once every 2 weeks or something like that. Mm-hmm. But you don't have to wipe down the appliances every night. Right. But if you see something on it, sure, wipe it. Right. Right. But no, don't wipe it down every night. Right. It's not necessary. Right. So, do you have any examples of a fight that you've heard some of your friends, you know, this different standard of like, oh, I asked you to do something and you didn't do it to my standard?
I mean, you know, yeah. I mean, it's just that's. I mean, it could be a lot of different things. I mean, just the example, like for us, you know what I'm saying? You know, you tell me to wash the dishes, but you want me to sweep the floor, wipe the counter, wipe down the refrigerator. You know what I'm saying?
I did not ask you
clean
to
out the table,
wipe down the refrigerator.
You know,
I do want you to clean out the table. Yes.
I mean, but that's not washing dishes. You see what I'm saying? So your standard of washing the dishes is absurd. It really is not. It's not. So, I'm not doing what you're asking me to do. Like, the title of the book is learning how to do ABCs, but then they're going to teach you how to build a tree house too. Then it's not an accurate description of what the title is saying. You asked me to wash the dishes. You know what I'm saying?
So what would be like a better...
Clean the kitchen. That's what you're asking me. But
cleaning the kitchen is a totally different thing.
But you basically asking me to clean the kitchen. Or you can say, hey, wash the dishes, just wipe down the table, wipe down the counter. That's what you're asking me to do. That is not all lumped into washing the dishes. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, but I think a lot of people out there would know to do that.
No. no, they wouldn't.
Maybe you're right. But see, that's why this type of conversation is important. So she called this the minimum standard of care. And I think she said she borrowed it from the law community. But yes, so I just thought that was great because that can just solve so many problems, you know? Right. And the other thing that she was saying too, that you should discuss is your why. And I think this is a big one for you, Jason. If you can understand why we're doing something, then you are more apt to do it.
Right. Yeah. I agree with you on that one.
Yes. And sometimes, you know, it's just something as simple as like, we are trying to keep a clean house, right? Yes. This is why we are washing dishes every night. Right. We are trying to keep bugs away. Yes. And our children and we deserve to be in a clean house. Yes. So that's the why. Right? Yes. I think having a why is like always important in anything that you're doing. And so it's also important with this.
Correct.
So yes, so let's talk a little bit about the game, which, as Jason said, is not really a game. But I think that she calls it that because it is kind of a way to get you men to the table. But for Jason...
So you're tricking us, basically.
Yes, that's how Jason felt. Because when he heard the word game, he thought fun, right?
Well, typically games are fun. I mean, typically a game is about competition, you know, all that good stuff. Yes. But, yeah, this is not that. Yeah. This is just to expose you men out there what you, I guess, how much more work your woman is doing.
That's not.
Or the partner, your other partner is doing.
That's part of it, but no. So I think that because I was telling Jason that we were going to discuss this on on the podcast, and I kind of just felt like that he would just go along with it. I did not take Eve's advice because she actually gives you give the women who's reading this book some suggestions on how to approach your partner. But one of the suggestions she does say that it's a game, and I think that just wouldn't have worked for Jason ever, right?
Right.
But she does have like some lines to help you approach your significant other. Mm-hmm. And maybe if I had used one of those lines, then maybe I would have fared better. Okay. So let me see
what the line is. Talk to me.
Okay. So here's one line that she suggested. I'd like to explore a new way to rebalance our time that allows us to rediscover my passions beyond the home.
Okay. That sounds good.
Really? You would have went with that?
It sounds way better than a game.
Well,
you actually telling me what's happening.
So the line where she says to invite your partner to play a game with quotation marks that will create more efficiency in the home without losing the fun.
What?
This was a line that she suggested. Invite him to play a game that will create more efficiency in the home without losing the fun. What's in it for you? Less nagging and far more levity.
Yeah, I don't like that.
So the one that well, maybe I was just wrong. Maybe she never says to use the word game. I don't know. You may suggest, I'd like to explore a new way to work together that recaptures some of who we are before we had kids.
Yeah, it gives me mystery. I don't know what she's talking about. I'm curious to see what she's talking about. Okay, what you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like that draws me in. Yeah, like it's a natural, honest draw in.
Right.
But if you're saying, hey, let's play this game, let's just get to it.
Okay.
Let's just get to it.
Well, I mean, I think it's important because I don't want anybody else to tell her husband, let's play a game, and then he was like, this is not a game.
But just don't say that. Like, it's clear. Just don't say that. Don't say it's a game.
Okay. So basically, she also has these, I'm just using the terminology that she uses, which is cards, right? But it's actually something that you print off her website. And I cut them, there's all these little squares or whatever to create cards, but it's actually a piece of paper.
Right.
So I think that like if we had.
Not even cards.
But would you have liked if they were actual cards?
Especially if you tell them it's a game.
Okay, so I think that she could do that, make actual cards, and people may like that and sell that with the book, right? Instead of just a piece of paper.
Right.
So, well, I just really think she did a really, really good job at listing all of the household responsibilities. And so going back to what you said, as far as like, oh, it's just something to, it's just something to show us how much like your spouse is doing.
Yeah.
It's somewhat that, but it's mainly it is to show, but also let's now fairly divide this.
Right.
That's the main point, right?
But how can you fairly divide it if you're not showing
exactly
if it's lopsided?
Exactly.
So number one is to expose what you're not doing.
But you say it in like such a negative way.
Well, that's just what it is.
Okay.
We just, people that have my type, whether it's me and some women may have my type of my mindset as well. Just tell me what's going on. Just tell me. You know what I'm saying? It's an accurate depiction of what's about to happen. Mm-hmm. So it's going to show who's lacking and who's doing majority of the work around the house. And then y'all going to even it out. That's just what it is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So when we play the game, right? So Jason made the statement that made me very upset, which was, I don't have time for that. So it was actually the weekend card, the Saturday card. Right? Mm-hmm. So I was trying to think of another card that you could take. Right? And I said, I'm basically giving you an option. And I was like, do you want to do all 3 meals on Saturday? Or do you want to do, dinner on Saturday?
Right.
And when I said something about all 3 meals, you didn't even let me finish. Right? And you said, I don't have time for that.
And I said that, but I actually meant, man, nobody really has time for that. That's what I really meant to say.
Again, clearly I have time for it. So anyways, like I said, you didn't even let me get to it. So when you said that, it's like, oh, okay, well, I have time for it because that's what I do. But you don't have time for it. And as a stay-at-home mom, basically we don't get Saturdays and Sundays off because our job continues. Right. And as a working mom, right? We just continue to do breakfast, lunch, and dinner for our families. So that's why I thought that maybe that would be a good car for you to take, which you did after we had a long conversation about why that was not the right thing to say to me.
Right, and I explained that I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say nobody really has time for that. But sometimes
that's still not good though.
Yeah, I know, but
because
it's better
clearly I have time for it.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't have time for it. So therefore, that means that should let you know that yes, I should help you with that.
Yes.
So it's actually a good thing.
Okay.
Can't win for losing around here.
But you took it. You took dinner on Saturdays.
Right.
Which is very, very helpful for sure.
Right.
Okay. So yes, that was but I still think that if we had the conversation about this time thing, then we wouldn't have had that argument.
Right.
Yep. So so some of the things that are listed on these cards is like in the category of caregiving. It's things that I'm sure Jason didn't even like really consciously think about. So this is again why I like this so much, because we talk about invisible work for women. And it's just like a lot of times women, we want our partner to notice all these things that we're doing. Right. And y'all just don't notice. Like it doesn't get noticed until it's not done. Right. And there's a need for it. So one is kids' clothes and accessories. Right. like I'm sure Jason don't even think about that at all. Right. And that's things that he does, of course, that I don't think about because he takes care of them. So it's not about like guilt tripping, but it is showing, okay, look at all this stuff that I take care of. Right. Right. I'm just going to name a few things. School forms, meals, weekday meals, weekend meals. What else? Tidying up and organizing, home furnishing, dry cleaning, cleaning, dishes, garbage, groceries. So they did a really good job. They even have electronics and IT, which is Jason's category. Anytime something was wrong electronic wise, IT, Jason's taking care of that,
What about security? Security on there?
No, security is not on there.
She dropping the ball. See, and that's what I'm saying. A lot of the ladies out there, y'all don't think about it. That's invisible work that men do.
Jason,
I'm just saying. Look, she's an expert, and she's not even putting it on there
because it's not something that you actually physically do.
But if let's say if y'all not married, right, or let's say if you are married, and y'all don't. Let's say the man is away, right, for job or something. Something go bump in the night, which. I was on I was on a business trip. Something went bump in the night, and you were scared.
Okay.
And where's the gun? Don't even. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Well, I mean, never mind. Go ahead.
I mean, so that's something that that you don't think about. You know what I'm saying?
This list is things that you physically do. Which
I'm physically gonna whoop somebody that come up in the house.
But nobody's come here.
But you don't know. You don't know. So it's better.
Do y'all see what I have to deal with?
Babe, so you telling me if something go bump in the night, do you rather for me to be there or you rather for me to be away?
Of course I'd rather for you to be here. But what I'm saying is this list is an exhaustive list of things that you physically have to do. When is the last time that you had to defend us? When the last time I had to defend you? Yeah.
Shoot, I had to defend you all the time.
I'm talking about physically, Jason.
Well, it ain't all about. It's just this is about. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Okay.
This is one of those things.
Moving on.
How you don't want to give credit to security? But you be so scary if I'm not here.
I don't be scary.
Give credit to security, man.
I do, but I'm telling you that this is okay. Y'all get me.
It's
y'all
like insurance.
Y'all know
Do
that
you
Jason,
need insurance? Do you need insurance on your car?
Yes.
When the last time you used insurance on your car? When the last time you used it? When the last time you had to take out a claim?
What? Okay.
That's my point. That's my point. No, it's a great point because I'm insurance just in case somebody comes in the house. So, when the last time, hey, you needed me for somebody to come in the house and I take care of them? No, it hasn't happened. But
Jason,
you still sleep good at night that I am here.
Yeah, you being ridiculous.
I'm not being ridiculous. I'm just saying give credit to the invisible work.
I do. That's not work. It's not work.
We're
talking about physically
exerting energy. Do you know sometimes I get up in the middle of the night and just check?
Be quiet.
Do you know that?
I'm not saying that I don't value the fact that you're here and that you're a security guard.
I physically do that. I physically get up. How you gonna tell me what I physically do and what I physically don't do? I physically get up and do a security check.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just moving on because you're ridiculous.
Is that physical?
No. Okay, so
but you want credit for everything, every little thing.
So basically, let's talk about how to, I don't know, have this conversation because I can't say play the game, right?
No.
So let's talk about how to have the conversation.
Okay.
She set step 1 was to set some ground rules. We're not going to go through that, but step 2 was to customize your deck. So play for value. And I really like this again because sometimes we put too much on our plate, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is a time that you go through the whole list or all the cards and discuss what is really important to your family. Is it really important for you to take your child to all these different kids' birthday parties?
That ain't important to me.
It's never been important to Jason. I have done it, right? And I will, but I've never felt like, oh my gosh, this intense pressure to take our daughter to her schoolmate's birthday party. Like, no, I have other stuff to do. You know what I mean? Right. But I can see how for some people they may feel an intense pressure to do this. And, let's just do what's best for our family. Right. Let's look at all these cards. Do we really value this? Do we really want to do this? Do we really want to spend our time on this? If not, let's get rid of this card. Right?
Right.
The other one that I wanted to talk about was after you've gone through your cards and then it was time to divide them. And she says divide them using CPE. So CPE is conception, planning, and execution. Okay. So you have to, this is actually very time consuming, this whole process, right? Mm-hmm. But you're putting in a lot of time on the front end and it's saving you a lot of heartache and pain on the back end. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely worth it to me. So, but for every card that you're left with after you go through the cards that, get rid of the ones that you don't want, those responsibilities or whatever. Now it is time for you to go through and talk about what the conception, the planning, and the execution of each task looks like. Right. So part of what is the biggest part of invisible work for women is that a lot of times you only see the execution of it. Right. So cooking, you see the execution of it, but you don't see research on the mental preparation, the planning, meal planning.
For my family is going to be healthy.
Right. Yeah. Right. Actually sitting down and doing the meal plan and even taking the kids to the dentist. Okay. So if you haven't established who the dentist is going to be, I have to research the dentist. Right. Right. And then I have to set the appointment. I have to put it in the calendar. I have to remember that. Right. Mm-hmm. And then finally, execution is taking them to the dentist. Right. So I think that the conception and the planning part is probably the most hard part.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, it varies depending on the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she talked a lot about in the book that a lot of times women will ask their husband to do the execution part, right? But this leaves a lot of room for arguments because something is probably going to fall through the cracks.
Right. They're not going to execute it the way that you plan for it to be executed. And
Right.
since the person that's executing didn't plan it, then it can be kind of thrown off a little bit.
Exactly. So she gave an example, and this is so funny because Jason actually he takes care of his dry cleaning, right?
Correct.
So she gave an example of a dry cleaning situation.
I take care of the house's dry cleaning.
Okay. Yes.
Give my credit, man. That's all I'm saying. You know, this is all about credit. Give credit.
Am I giving you credit right now?
Yeah, you pause a little bit.
Okay.
And the facial expression. That's
okay.
all. I'm just calling like I see it. So give my credit.
So, yes, dry cleaning. She gave an example in the book where the woman, the wife, found the dry cleaning. She collected the clothes, put them in the bag, put them near the door, and asked her husband to take them to the dry cleaner.
Right.
So he takes them, and guess what? The dry cleaner is closed.
Correct.
So of course he gets mad at her and asks her, why didn't she tell me, when the hours were?
Right.
So what Eve is saying is, especially since the conception and the planning is a big part, more than the execution in most situations, you need to take the entire task. So what this does, a couple of things. It lets the man, take care of what he needs to take care of without being micromanaged, right? And so it's on us or whatever your partner to learn to trust you. But after you've already kind of discussed how you see it going, then maybe you can trust your partner more to take it.
Yeah, and that's again, that's gonna probably be the initial. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you switch gears, there's gonna be a time of kind of slow down, and it may seem like it's going backwards. Kind of like if you're driving a stick shift, right? You're driving down the interstate and you want to shift to the next gear so you can go faster, but when you take that shift, you're gonna let off the gas. Right. And then you're going to shift and it feels like the car is going backwards. You are still moving forward, but it feels like it's going backwards a little bit and then you go forward. So anytime you have a new shift in your relationship and a shift in how you do things, right? It's going to feel like it's a step back just a little bit and then it's going to go forward. So yeah, with the dry cleaning situation, that may happen the first time. It may be something else that falls in the cracks the second time. But after that third time, then the person that's doing the execution kind of understand how the planning and everything works. And so depending on the situation, you can split it up, but rule of thumb, whoever does the planning and everything else should do the execution.
Yes, because also women don't want to feel like you're managers, right?
Right.
So that's why this is also good, because just like, no, you're responsible for this, right? I don't have to give you like direct orders all the time.
Right.
So if I'm constantly doing the conception and the planning of everything and you're just doing the executor, I'm still your manager and I'm constantly telling you what to do, and that's work.
Right.
So it's still a lot of mental load happening. So she's just like, don't do it. At all cost, try your best to, whatever card you hold, whatever responsibility you hold, you need to hold it from beginning to end.
But I will say this, again, it still depends, because same thing with the dry cleaning situation. Once you get a system in place, you don't have to say anything. So, for instance, we have a dry cleaning basket. So when it's time, I feel like my clothes are getting low, I need to take some clothes to dry cleaning. Whatever's in that dry cleaning basket will be taken to the dry cleaner. So you don't have to tell me, or maybe it's another person will have to tell their significant other, hey, take it around this time or do this and that. Make sure you take it to the dry cleaner. No, it's a system. Boom, the basket is getting full. Let me take it to the dry cleaner, and it'll be seamless. So it just depends on the situation.
Well, I'll tell you this. The reason why I thought that dry cleaning story was funny, because I heard you say you were taking your clothes to the dry cleaner, but it was closed. Now, you didn't blame me for that because I have no parts of the dry cleaning. Right. That's totally your card and always has been. So we kind of do this a little bit, right? But now we can get better now that we have like this knowledge, right, of it. We're conscious of it now. But so in that situation, had I, like, if this was our first time, like you said, like this couple in the book, the example, then you probably would have did the same thing and that man did and was like, well, you didn't tell me what time it was open and closed. But you knew what time, or maybe you just forgot, right? But basically, there was no blame put on me because you are in control of that. Right. So whatever is like frustration or whatever, you got to deal with that yourself. Right. So I think that's the biggest thing because a lot of times fights happen that way. Right. So I get what you're saying, but I'm like, at first I was like totally like you, like, oh, well, it just depends on the situation. But I can totally see how, no, it needs to be the beginning to the end. Okay. You know? Yeah. But I know that we tag team a lot of things. So it's hard not to do that sometimes. And sometimes, like you said, it'll happen. But as far as like the way this system works, we're supposed to try our best to whoever holds the card, you do the entire thing. Right. So, but yes, that again, it is making visible the invisible work. If you sit down and I discuss with you, hey, this is what I do when I take the kids to the park. You just jump up, which we need to have a conversation about this, but you just take them to the park. Right. But a young baby, right, you have to pack a bag. You got to make sure there's some diapers and baby wipes in there. Yeah, but normally you don't pack it because it's already packed. Okay. Thank you. But I need to know that you are going to check to make sure that you have what you need in there. So now that
I'm going right down the street.
See? So that's not the minimum standard of care.
If something, he gets hungry and we're going home. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing in there. If he boo-boo in his diaper, well, I don't need a change of clothes. We're going right down the street.
So has there ever been an explosion? What we call a boo-boo explosion with Isaiah?
No, I haven't.
Yes, when we first brought him to the home from the hospital.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, well, that happens. It's not just sometimes they make a mess. Sometimes somebody spill water on them or something. Or they spill water on themselves and they need to change clothes. Well, so that's why change of clothes is always in the bag.
Appreciate it. But if it ain't in there, it's all love.
So this actually happened to me one time. My daughter was at daycare and daddy was in charge of putting a spare clothes in the backpack. Yeah. And you did not do it. And of all days, there was an accident that happened that day. And I had to go pick her up because there was no spare clothes.
Hey, I dropped the ball. Didn't try to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and how many times, like, I shouldn't be in charge of that anyways. Keep it up with those clothes.
Oh gosh.
Can't keep up with those clothes, man.
So yes, I thought that was very important, and yeah, just having that discussion and everyone seeing the invisible work will help out a lot for sure.
Man, I just wish I could get some type of credit for the security invisible work that I don't.
Well, I will give you credit for when we played the game. I kind of figured that you would be a more than most kind of guy, right? Mm-hmm. You've
pretty much like that's just who I am, more than most. Yes. Yeah.
Could you please get over yourself?
I mean, if somebody would give me credit, maybe I don't have to be on myself.
I don't have time. You so busy blowing your own tooting your own horn that I just can't even get a blow in there. So yeah, let's just talk a little bit about what happened when we played the game. Mm-hmm. So first off, should have never called a game. Jason was not happy. He had to kind of readjust his brain to, oh, we're having a serious conversation. But I did tell him it wasn't really a game, but he wasn't really listening. He just hung on.
I heard it, but it's just like, oh, it's a game, but it's not really a game. Okay, I'm confused. You know what I'm saying? But you said it was a game, but it's not really. Like, what does that mean? I don't know. So, yeah.
So clearly, so basically, like I said, we have these cards, but it's actually like pieces of paper, squares that was cut out, and we go through each one. So clearly, as a stay-at-home mom, I am going to have most of the household responsibilities and caretaking responsibilities. But what was very key for me, which I didn't know about this, but I kind of had already identified this before I read the book, is she calls some cards daily grinds, and those are the things that you have to do like on a daily basis or very frequently, and you can't do them on your own time. So like feeding the kids, you can, but they need to eat, right? 3 times a day. And so sometimes if your partner would just take one of those daily grinds, it can just do wonders, right? For the time that you have. And so she was very adamant about no one person should be holding all of the daily grind cards. So I think there was 30 in all. Jason took the dishes. The dishes, and that has just been so helpful. So helpful to me. Right. And so we do kind of split this up a little bit because I unload the dishwasher.
Yes. Yeah.
And
it's a help. It's definitely a help. I appreciate it. Mm-hmm. So I know some people listening are like, oh, all she do is unload the dishes, but no, it really does help unloading the dishes, because it's just, that's one less thing you gotta do.
So, and I'm cooking, right?
Right.
You're not cooking, so yeah.
Right.
So that's a heavy daily grind thing. That is very time consuming.
Right.
I can't think of, I wish we had our cards, but I can't think of whatever other things, but I just think that's a super important one. So everyone should have their fair share of the daily grinds, right? Especially if you got kids. Like, no one person should be cooking, washing the dishes, giving both of the kids a bath, putting both of the kids in the bed, or however many children that you have, or one child. Like, it's just a lot.
Right.
So another card that I thought was interesting is that a lot of women were saying that, like, this, when your child gets sick in preschool or daycare, which, oh my God, if y'all don't have kids, this happens all the time. Mm-hmm. It is so frustrating because you have to pay the daycare or the preschool for that day. They're sick. They can't come in. Right. And now you got to either come home or you got to pay someone else to watch your child or find someone else to watch your child. It's just so frustrating. So I would say that you had that card when I was working, because it was my first year working with the job that I was at. And we just kind of came to the conclusion that you had been at your job longer. Right. Your schedule was more flexible. So you held that card majority of the time.
Correct.
Sometimes I did stay home with our daughter when she was sick, but majority of the time you did it. So that's why I said you're kind of more than most, because apparently, I think I was reading this, I was reading this book, and one woman was saying, her husband finally took the dry cleaning card. And I was like, my husband been doing that. I would have been like, really? I got to go pick up your dry cleaning and, and wash the clothes in the house? Right. Jeez Louise. Right. This is a lot.
Put some respect on my name.
Yeah. So what else? What's your thoughts on our conversation? Like what else happened while we were playing?
I mean, it was, like I said, it was kind of eye opening to, especially to really put a label on those daily grinds. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because you would think, well, I take care of the car. Like, I take care of the car maintenance. I wash the I wash the cars, or I will, do the lawn care. I take out the trash. And you would, as you counting those things out, those are 4 different things. And you would think that those 4 different things that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a day. Not any of those things are daily grinds.
Right.
So just doing the dishes is like equivalent to those 4 other things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like to really put a label on this is a daily grind. Yeah, that is true. You know, wow. It just really helps navigate, I guess it really helps understand how you can make things flow better in the household.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's just you clearly can see it. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that was a big deal. You know, if you don't get anything else out of this, figure out what those daily grinds are at a minimum and get those split up.
Yeah.
You know, at a minimum.
Right. Well, I mean, you don't have to figure it out. She's already figured it out for you. Right?
I'm talking about people, because some daily grinds are different. Everybody don't have the same daily grind. Some people don't have a daily grind like walking a dog. We don't have that daily grind.
Right.
You didn't think about that, did you?
Get out of here. Yeah, I'm not getting any animals either. Some people said I was so mean. Cause it's like, what about your kids? What if they want a dog? Listen,
look,
when they
Paw Patrol is on the roll. You better go chase on the case. That's your pet.
Yes, this stuffed animal,
bubble guppies, all that.
Yeah, I'm not
and
doing
we're
it.
about to get rid of some of them stuffed animals. Too many of them.
We do need to get rid of some of that.
So so figure out what your daily grinds are, and get those. Whoever's is doing less, I automatically say men. Men, get those. Help out with those daily grinds. That will drastically help your relationship. It will take less stress off of the other partner.
Right. And at the end of the day, you want your partner to be happy and whole.
Yeah.
You don't want them to be worked, dogged down, like
right.
Like just barely dragging because they got so much work to do and you just full of energy,
kicking it,
Playing
like what game kind all night.
Right. Yes. So, but she does have pets on here. So what I'm saying is that she has like thought about a lot of stuff.
No,
whether or
for
not
sure.
that card applies to you or not. So like,
I'm just saying it doesn't apply to us,
right?
But for some other people, it may apply to.
Right. So, like I said, these cards are on her website, but of course she says you need to read the book so you can get a full understanding of how to make it work and approach it the proper way. Right. So yeah, but all in all, I think we what did we change? You decided to, you started doing the dishes before I read the book, but then you decided to take on Saturday night meals.
I did.
Yes, he already forgot, but we're going to make it do what it do.
It's Saturday night, but we ate.
We ate out. So you handled the meal because you suggested the place. So again, that is planning. That's conception, planning, and execution. So I need all 3 of those. I don't want to think about it at all. Right.
So just Saturday, right?
Yeah, just Saturday.
Okay, I got to put that in my calendar.
Yeah.
Use your technology, guys. Use your technology.
So I think that was about it, though. Like, but I'm very happy with my husband. I don't think we did talk about on one episode. I think it was gender roles, about the fact that you did stay home with our daughter for a month. Mm-hmm. When she was first born, because I was in the military, I had to go back to work after 6 weeks. We were not comfortable taking her to a daycare, so we made the decision for Jason to stay at home, and I was transitioning out of the military, so I didn't have to work that long. But that was the most. Jason, I wish I would have had this book then, because he literally only watched our daughter. Like, I mean, I shouldn't say only, because it's a big.
I watched
it's
the
a
bottles,
big deal.
Made bottles,
but he didn't do anything else. He kept our
dishes,
daughter alive.
I kept the kitchen clean.
You did not, Jason. No, I would come home and
she got amnesia.
Yeah, I was like, no, this whole stay-at-home dad thing is not gonna work, because he is not doing all of the other stuff that you should be doing. He's like literally keeping our daughter, which I'm very happy about that. However, I'm going to need you to multitask. I'm going to need you to do some more stuff, right? Yeah. So, so also I wanted to mention, since Valentine's Day is coming up, she also talked about some of the best times that, like, people who have actually went through this conversation, what times they said was a good time to talk about it. Like, so basically she says to invite your partner to have the conversation. Y'all set a date, right? And some people have done it on date nights, anniversaries, or Valentine's Day.
What? Play the game?
Yes.
Nah, that's whack. Do not, fellas. Don't do it on the. No, well, you can talk about, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to do this fair. It's called fair game or whatever. Fair play, and you can set it up on the date. But I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it on that date.
No.
Well, a date night maybe, because she says that people, especially if you're going through a hard time, people are more likely and they feel more in the mood to, like, talk about something to improve their relationship on these sort of holidays, on these sort of days.
Maybe so.
So that's why. So I would not want to do it on Valentine's Day. However, maybe if you are just, like, really in a rough patch and it's Valentine's Day and you say, you know what, I want us to change.
Right.
I want us to have a better relationship. And I really would like to talk about this thing that I feel like will get us back to loving each other and having some great fun with one another,
Right.
Because that's what it's all about. It's like creating this system that will allow you to have more time to have fun and to spend more time loving each other.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yes. So, honey, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
By the time we talk to you all again, Valentine's Day would have come and gone.
Come and gone.
Come and gone. So, last thing, Jason, I was kind of trying to think of something fun to do for Black History Month.
Like what, babe?
I don't know. Like, what's our favorite Black couples or something?
I don't know. Michelle and Barack.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the main one right there.
Yeah.
Who's my favorite?
Will and Jada.
Yeah. I like Barack and Michelle better. No, I love Will and Jada. I'm just playing.
Shout out to Will and Jada, Red Table Talk.
I love them.
Come on our show anytime you like.
One more. Black Love.
I don't know.
Me and you. Of course. I really hope that, like, you all can find some time to check out the book. There's still a lot of valuable information, a lot of insightful stories in there. So I would highly recommend this book, and I would highly recommend that couples participate and do the exercise. I think it's really going to help families everywhere.
Definitely will.
Yes.
So I appreciate you guys for checking us out. Don't forget to go to patreon.com/Loveology Podcast and check us out. Join a tier. This is going to be a live discussion. Wednesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Pacific. Now, again, with the Patreon tier 2, you will get behind the scenes coverage on stuff, and we're actually recording some behind the scenes stuff right now. So if you would, check us out. Again, holla at y'all. Love y'all. Remember, when there's love, there's peace. And when there's peace, there's progression. Holla. Peace out.
You've been listening to the Loveology Podcast. Did you have fun with us today? Tell a friend about our show. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to keep the conversation going. Be sure to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. Visit us at loveologypodcast.com. Thanks for listening. Until next time, Loveologists.